Hola todos, ¿qué tal? Soy Erika. So in today's video, I will be talking to you about el Pluscuamperfecto, which is an advanced grammar term. If you are a beginner, I encourage you though to keep on watching, as you might see that it's actually quite simple, and thus it will give you the motivation to keep on learning Spanish. All right? Let me know who you guys are cheering for in the World Cup. My country got booted out already, so I guess for now I'm going to vote for or cheer for Argentina. But yeah, let me know down below who you're cheering for and also any recommendations you have for future Spanish lessons. All right, so let's get started today with el Pluscuamperfecto. So first I'm going to talk to you about what it is, then I will go over the conjugation, when we use it, so specific cases in which we use el Pluscuamperfecto, and then lastly, some practice. Entonces, ¿qué es el Pluscuamperfecto? So, el Pluscuamperfecto, or the simple past, is used to refer to an event that anticipated another past event. So, let's say our main event right now is we're talking about something in the past. So, that's when you use the simple preterite, right? Like, I walked. But then you want to talk about something that actually happened before that. So, I could say, I had slipped on the ice before I walked to school. Okay? So, the Pluscuamperfecto is that had part, all right? So here's an example in English. So when Carmen arrived is this pasado pretérito, so the preterite, at the restaurant, her friends had already eaten. Already had eaten. Okay, so the had eaten would be our Pluscuamperfecto. It happened further in the past than her arriving at the restaurant, right? Okay, so here again, we can see her friends had eaten, and then Carmen arrived at the restaurant. Okay, so that's the order of events. So when you're doing the Pluscuamperfecto, always try to keep in mind what the order of events is. When I would write exams, I would also do the timeline on the side of the paper just so that I could keep organized and figuring it out. Okay, so let's see it now in Spanish, now that you can understand what is el Pluscuamperfecto. Okay, so tenemos el pasado, el Pluscuamperfecto, y el pretérito, y el presente. Okay, so this is the same sentence before. Okay, so cuando Carmen llegó al restaurante, sus amigos ya habían comido. Okay, so we can see here, tenemos el pasado. So this is the order of events. Okay, sus amigos habían comido, her friends had eaten. And then, y después, Carmen llegó. Then she arrived, okay? And then we have the present that would continue on, all right? So when you're going to have el Pluscuamperfecto, the whole sentence needs to be in the past tense, but you are going to have half of it, as you can see, that is in the Pluscuamperfecto, and then the other half is in the preterite, okay? So el Pluscuamperfecto, again, is used for to talk about an event that anticipated another event. So to talk about they had already eaten by the time that Carmen had arrived. Okay? So let's go into la conjugación, so the conjugation. It's super simple. We'll go through it quickly, and then we'll talk about, we'll go over again when to use el Pluscuamperfecto, and more specifically when to use it. Okay, so ¿cómo se conjuga? So the first thing you need to do after figuring out who you're talking about, so your pronoun, is to conjuga haber en el pasado imperfecto. So this is something you can just memorize if you're a beginner. It's quite simple. So yo había, tú habías, él, ella, usted había, nosotros habíamos, vosotros habíais, and ellos, ella, ustedes habían. So the first thing, figure out who you're talking about. So your pronoun, I'm just going to say yo for this one. So I would have yo había. The second thing is to change the verb al pasado participio, so change it into the participle. So for ER and IR verbs, it's going to be the ido ending. So I'm going to use comer. So when we're changing something into the participle, we cut off the ER and we plug in the ido, making it comido. For AR verbs, it's going to be ado. So again, cut off the AR, add ado, you get, for this one, hablado. Okay, that's the second step, and that's your conjugation. So here I would have yo había comido, yo había hablado. I had eaten, I had talked. Okay, it's like the same as in English, it translates perfectly. Okay, ahora practicamos. Okay, so for this one, cambia los verbos al pluscuamperfecto. So I just want you to practice quickly about how to conjugate things into the pluscuamperfecto. So the first thing you need to do, again, is to figure out your pronoun and then conjugate haber into the imperfecto. So let's do this first one together. So I'll have ella había, okay? So I'll write that down. And then I have beber. I need to change that into the participle. ER verb, that means it's ido. So bebido, making me ella había bebido. She had drank. All right? So do the rest of these. Pause the video. These ones here are irregulars. So if you know how to do that, make sure you do them correctly. Then we'll go over the answers. Entonces, ¿qué? Ahora las respuestas. Entonces, ella había bebido, yo había caminado, tú habías vivido, él había dicho, so this is an irregular one, escribir, vosotros habíais escrito, and ustedes habían puesto, okay? So these are the participles, and then here we have haber in the imperfecto. Those are the only two steps of conjugating. It's pretty easy, like you can do it. Okay, ahora, ¿cuándo se usa el pluscuamperfecto? Entonces, so again, as I explained, you use it to refer to an action that preceded another past event. So here I have my example. Yo había comprado flores cuando llegué a la cita. So I had bought flowers when I arrived to the date. So if we had an order of events, first he bought flowers, then he arrived to the date. Okay? So this is why we're using it. Había comprado anticipated him arriving to the date. Okay? So the second time we use it when we have an expression of time that is used as a reference point. So I have an example here. Al final de la clase, so that's my time reference, at the end of class. No había terminado la tarea. I hadn't finished my homework. I still hadn't finished my homework. Okay? So that's my time reference there. You could even say al mediodía no había comido nada. Like by midday, I still hadn't eaten anything. Okay? You can use like the word todavía in there for still. The third time is to refer to experiences which occurred for the first time. In these instances, you will see the words nunca and jamás, which is like never. So, nunca habíamos visto algo así raro. Like, never in my life had I seen something so strange. Nunca en mi vida había comido algo así delicioso. So, never in my life had I eaten something so delicious. Okay, so in those sentences, you're also going to use habíamos, so the pluscuamperfecto. Fourth is in indirect sentences where the introductory verb is rarely conjugated into the simple preterite. So this is something you're going to learn with fluency. So in Spanish, if you want to say Carmen told us that she left her husband, you wouldn't say it like that. So you wouldn't say Carmen nos dijo que dejó su marido. So you wouldn't use the preterite. Instead, as fluent speakers would talk, they would say Carmen nos dijo que había dejado su marido. So the verb dejar in this instance, you would say like había dejado rather than dejó. And again, that's just something of fluency. Okay, this one I wouldn't worry like too much about because it doesn't take away from meaning when you're learning Spanish. But again, if you want to sound fluent, that's important. Okay, so now we have ya, todavía, y aún. So that is just already, still, and even though. So I'm just going to show you these examples here because they will help you with your Spanish. So la clase ya había empezado cuando llegó María. There should be an accent on the O. So the class had already started when Maria arrived. So that's the same sentence. It was before she arrived. Al llegar a la escuela, vimos que todavía no habían abierto las puertas. So upon arriving at school, we saw that they still hadn't opened the doors. So them not opening the doors happened before we arrived to the school. Okay, so that's, again, we have our order of events. This happened before they saw that they didn't open the doors. Aún, which is even though, no habíamos estudiado, tuvimos que escribir el examen. So even though we hadn't studied, we had to write the exam. So them not studying happened before they had to write the exam. So Pluscuamperfecto, ¿ok? Ahora un poco de práctica. Okay. So this one I want you to conjugar el verbo al tiempo verbal apropiado. So pluscuamperfecto o el pretérito. So you need to pick if it's going to be the pluscuamperfecto or preterite, and then you need to conjugate it accordingly. All right. So we have the first one that I'll do with you. So Javier sabía que sus amigos le un regalo. Okay, so this one I kind of already give you a hint here. There's a participle, so which one use the participle? The pluscuamperfecto. Okay, but here if we're just looking at the sentence, Javier sabía que sus amigos. So we know that Javier knew something, that's in the past, and that his friends bought him a gift. So I think they would buy him a gift, right, before he would know that they bought a gift. Okay, so that's why we can say, okay, buying the gift anticipated him knowing, so it's going to be el pluscuamperfecto, making it Javier sabía que sus amigos le habían comprado un regalo. Okay, let's do the next one. So again, you need to look, figure out if it's going to be preterite or pluscuamperfecto. Pause the video to figure it out, and then we'll go over the answers. All right. Ahora las respuestas. Entonces el primero, como ya he dicho, Javier sabía que sus amigos le habían comprado un regalo. Javier already knew that his friends had bought him a gift. We have Lucia. The second, Lucia estudió y escribió el examen el lunes. So the reason why this one I would say is the preterite is because I have nothing indicating like prior event. Okay, it's just simple past. Lucia studied and wrote the exam. So that one is the preterite. The third one, estaba sorprendida porque nunca había visto una playa así maravillosa. Okay, this one we know it's going to be the pluscuamperfecto because we have the word nunca, meaning like never in my life have I, like for the first time, I've seen such a beautiful beach. So that's why we have había visto. So I was surprised because I had never seen a beach so marvelous. Okay, we have the fourth, al final del día, that's my time reference. Yo no había hecho nada. So at the end of the day, I hadn't done anything. You can say I still hadn't done anything. Still would be todavía. Okay. Fifth one, conoció Belén en junio y se casó con ella en agosto. So he met Belén in June and married her in August. Again, there's no indication of me talking about an really anticipated event. So that's why you're just going to use the simple past, okay? If you said y se había casado con ella in August, it would be like the August, like the year before, okay? So, okay, so this is the end of the class. I hope you guys learned something. Please let me know what videos you want to see in the future, and let me know who you're cheering for in the FIFA World Cup because I'm super curious. Bueno, nos vemos en el próximo y adiós.